Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well. It is August 3rd, 2023, and I'm coming to you live from my own brokenness. This is number 6 on our 7 soul strengthening pillars to build in your dream life as an artist, and I come to you today with broken self. It is not a coincidence that today has gone the way it has. It's actually been a very trying day for me. And I have been wrestling with faith. And I've been wrestling with trusting God. And I am coming to you literally live testimony because this is how God wanted it to happen. I literally have no notes for this video because I believe this is why, because He wanted me to share completely raw, completely in the moment as I'm going through this particular trial and test, because at the end of the day, that's what this is about. Getting in touch with your brokenness is the only way you can heal. As I mentioned before, you have to be ready to face whatever it is that you're battling and whatever it is that you're dealing with. There are stages to this. The first stage is resisting and running away from it. Much of the time, this clearly, as you know, I teach on the spirit, the soul, and the body. And a lot of times when we are wrestling with something, we wrestle with it. Well, actually, I'll say we wrestle with it in every aspect and area of our life. But a lot of times, it can manifest to a physical state and physical issue and problem. But it does begin, and I'll get into this in a minute actually, but it does begin with a mental wrestle initially. That is to say, whatever struggles I am dealing with, I will deal with them mentally first. They will pour into my emotional realm, which affects how I feel and my mood. And this obviously pours into my literal physical realm, which is the decisions and the choices that I make, which clearly can affect us physically and literally does affect us physically. So where to begin with this today, as I don't want to be doing this video because I'm going through something and it's challenging. And I might cry, but you know what? This is part of being real. And this is part of living through and being authentic with your brokenness, because this is the only way you can find recovery and healing, is to be real and to be honest with what you're struggling with and what you're battling with. So today I'm going to teach you some things that I've learned, and obviously some things I'm still learning, because we are all a work in progress and we are all trying to get to that beautiful dream life that we have in our heart. The broken self. The broken self is part of our existence, and it will always be a part of who we are, because until we are on the other side of eternity, we will be battling something. The reason this is important from the get-go is because it gives you not only a sense of humanity to know that everyone's struggling with something all the time. It helps you come out of that place of isolation where you feel like I'm the only one who's dealing with this. Nobody understands my struggle. Therefore, I have to keep it to myself and not share it with anybody because nobody will understand it. But the truth is that we are all struggling with something. We are all struggling mentally, emotionally, or physically, or all of the above. So I want to just lay that out for you from the start, that whatever you're facing and dealing with today, you're not alone in it, and there are others who have suffered the same, who can help you out of it, who can mentor you mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. And also, knowing this about self gives you the upper hand in the battle to wage war against the enemy that is coming against your brokenness. So for most of us here, we're old enough to say, I have been through something. I have experienced something that broke me, that made me turn to things that hurt me. And this is part of the unraveling of it all. When you can get to a place where you are ready, as I said at the beginning, we are in different stages. Some of us are in the place of resisting and running away from what's really going on internally. Examples of this would be any kind of addiction that you face or that you battle, whether it's physical addiction, emotional addiction, or mental addiction. But at the root of it, your unhealthy coping mechanism is its own separate issue. Let's say in the example of addiction, for example, I'll say physical addiction of any kind, whether it's food, alcohol, substance abuse, whatever it is, that is its own separate issue. And that is a struggle that many of us battle and face. Many of us are learning to overcome these addictions and battles physically. But recognizing actually that unhealthy coping mechanism is the beginning to getting to the root of why do I turn to this issue and this, addiction, this problem. It is because I have something inside that needs healing. So when you get to the place of I'm ready to deal with it, which is the second stage, I'm trying to see if I have a note on this specific thing. I think it's in one of my other many books. But the second stage is acknowledging, and this is actually what I teach with She's Restored. This is what I call my 3 to 5 step signature process of going through the inner healing journey. The first is to acknowledge, I am broken. I am hurting. I am struggling. I need help. I need rescue. I acknowledge something is wrong with me and I need healing. For those who are battling addiction, I will say physical addiction, part of this is recognizing I have an addiction to whatever it is. And then you learn how to face that addiction, okay? And when you're coming out of the addiction itself, you begin to see the reason why you turn to the addiction to feel the escape from what's really happening internally. So this is acknowledging, okay, I have a problem and I need help, okay? So physical addiction, emotional addiction, mental addiction, it's all this on the same plane in terms of I recognize I have a problem. Then you learn to accept and embrace the pain. This is number 2 in my 3 to 5 step signature process of inner healing. Accept and embrace. What does that mean? It means I accept I have something that is broken within me, and I embrace what I have been avoiding through addiction, or I've been running away through unhealthy coping mechanisms to mask what's actually happening within me. I allow myself, and this is where transformation begins, because it is taking the brave and courageous step to say, I don't want to hurt anymore. But I also understand I have to go through what I've been putting off so that I can feel better. And this is embracing it. This is embracing that I was abused as a child, and I've never shared this with anybody, but it's been eating me alive for 25 years, or whatever it is for you. It is finally getting to that point of vulnerability and transparency and honesty with self, because truthfully, this is where it begins. You have to be honest with yourself about where you have been hurt and where you have been broken, so that you can have the courage to face it. Now, this phase and season, it can be a season. I mean, there is no timetable to this, because everybody is on a very unique journey of recovery, because we are all in recovery of some kind. Okay. For some of you, this is very physical and literal, and you understand what I mean. For some of you, this is emotional recovery, because you have been through whatever it is. And for some of you, it's mental recovery because of what you've been through. And for pretty much all of us, it's at least one or several or all. So when I get to the stage of, okay, I'm tired of hurting and I'm tired of running from my pain by escaping, then we come to accepting and embracing, which is what I'm sharing about. I use the word embrace because it is representation of intimacy, and that means I am being vulnerable, I'm being honest and transparent, I'm not hiding anything anymore, I'm being real with myself, and I'm being real with what I've been carrying in my heart, in my mind, in my body, in my memories, because it's all encompassing. Now, once I get to this place where I'm ready to be real with myself, that I need help, then I'm postured to go through the inner healing process. And that is number 3, which is the process. And this is what I do. This is my calling. I help people understand, number 1, that they are struggling with something, and most of the time they know what they're struggling with. Number 2, that there is hope and recovery. And number 3, that we are going to go through the process together to find healing and strength. I personally use art, music, and movement because those are my 3 realms of expertise and calling. I'm in the music room, so the process is simultaneously horrific, because I have to go back to what I've lived through, that I've tried to escape for a long time for some of us. Or it can be something fresh that you're actually going through now, and it's just painful because it's hard to talk about, and you may not even know where to start because it's overwhelming and it's now. But either way, to go through the process is taking your power back. It is taking hope and holding on to it and trusting that I am brave enough to do this and I'm ready to be set free. Because that's what it comes down to, is freedom, liberation, and deliverance from what has been keeping me in bondage, what has been keeping me in a sin cycle, what has been keeping me in addiction, what has been keeping me from learning to trust again, because we all have it. We all have something, and we all need to know and to believe and to experience the freedom that actually God Himself has granted us. We are simply learning how to walk it out and attain it while we're here. There is so much to talk about and cover when we talk about the broken self, because for all of us, when we think about our own brokenness, it is very unique and it is very different. What I will say to encourage you now, and I'm very blessed to be on the other side of some of my brokenness, because there is still a lot that I'm healing and recovering from, and it has been challenging. It has been a daily battle of refinement. But I also know that I have to go through the refining process to be turned into pure gold and wholeness. And when you come to that place of knowing, okay, the reason I'm going through this is because, and I'll share, there usually is three spheres of why am I battling with something. The first is understanding that there is a spirit realm, which means there is a spiritual warfare between good and evil. And when you make decisions to better yourself and live the good, beautiful dream life that God has given to you and wants you to have, you are going to be met with opposition. I share this a lot and I've taught this a lot. So understanding that I will face opposition. This is part of just living in this realm that we live in, this physical earth realm that battles spiritual warfare. So that is one area, is the enemy coming against my progress. That's the simplest way I can put it, and there's really a lot more to it. There's a lot more depth in the spiritual realm and aspect of it, but that's the simplicity of it, is that there is a spiritual warfare that I'm in because I live here in this plane of existence, and I need to choose, which part of the warfare I want to be a part of. Do I want to be a part of the good and fight against the evil, or do I want to be on the other side? The second area is the world system, and this is the simplest way I'm going to put this. The world system, which basically teaches us what the enemy would want us to believe. Okay, and this can come through all ways and methods. But it is recognizing that when I choose to listen to the wrong frequency, I'm going to receive the wrong help for what I'm dealing with. So I've shared about this before, and she's restored, but there's the frequency of truth and then there's the frequency of deception. And we are constantly being bombarded with static from deception, because again, we're in this world and this world is full of deception. So we have to learn how to choose truth over deception. And this is a daily renewing of my mind, making sure that I don't listen to things that contradict the truth of what I believe, making sure that I don't get lazy and just, believe whatever I'm being told. There's a whole process to this, but that is the second area. It's the world system. And the third area is the area that we're talking about, and that is my personal wrestle with my brokenness, because I am learning to heal. So coming to a place of intimacy with self and where I've been hurt and broken is giving your power back to yourself, so that when the world comes against me with deception, I'm more attuned to self and to the frequency of truth and the spirit of truth, which is God Himself, to combat it. When the enemy comes against me spiritually to deceive me out of what I already know the Lord has promised, I can combat it, because I have taken that power back to be strong enough to resist the enemy. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, there are three main parts of self that we struggle with when it comes to our brokenness. And let me rewind just a minute. Why do we have brokenness? Well, we are born into a broken world. This is, as I call it, the broken earth, which will one day be restored and be the new earth, which is what we're waiting for, what we're hoping for. But in the meantime, we struggle while we're here. So we're always and automatically born into a broken existence. We come from broken parents because they have brokenness from their parents. This is part of the fall of mankind and sin coming into the world. So we automatically are sort of thrust into a broken existence. The two, as I call them, the two pillars of our brokenness are our childhood and childhood trauma and our life experiences. Our hope is to get to this place where I recognize that I can make decisions for my future self and my future life to change patterns of thought, patterns of behavior, patterns of coping that have led me to continue a broken life experience. I hope this makes sense. And part of the inner healing journey is recognizing, number one, my parents were broken too, which is why they hurt me. And I have to know that about them. I have to forgive them for it, because a lot of times, if we are carrying unforgiveness toward our parents, or anybody for this matter, but for what they have imparted into us, some of which has just been by inheritance because of generational bondage and curse and sin, then I am putting myself in a place where I can't forgive. Okay, and that is not what we want to do. We want to learn how to forgive. We want to learn how to love. And by the way, this is a process, and I'm going to be teaching on this on She's Restored, the whole inner healing journey. But the two pillars of brokenness are my childhood trauma and my life experiences. So when I learn that not only, yes, I was broken by these things or these traumas or these people, but I can heal from them as I learn to come back in those memories and go through that inner healing process to release that pain mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. Then I set myself up for victory, and I set myself up for deliverance, and I set myself up for breaking generational bondage, and more. Our brokenness is in our three main realms of the soul: our mind, which is our thoughts and how we think, our heart, which is how we feel, our emotions, and our will, which is our decision making and our choices, which makes up our entire life. Every decision I've made is a collection, or I should say my life is a collection of every decision I've made. So if I want to make healthier and better choices, then I need to look inward in my heart and my emotions to figure out what's wrong in there that is preventing me from doing that. And if there's something wrong in my emotions and I'm struggling and I can't, learn how to regulate my emotional well-being, which, by the way, is one of my struggles because I am a feeler. So I feel things very intensely. And because of what I've been through, which is a lot of trauma, I am still learning how to regulate my, I'm learning how to regulate my entire system, actually, but especially in my emotional realm, because that is where I process everything. So this might even resonate with some of you. If you feel like when you're triggered because of what you've been through, and this is a whole part of understanding this, let me just stop here for a second, but being triggered means the part of my unhealed self is being exposed, if you will, and I still have not learned how to handle what I feel is a threat to me. Okay, so this pours into the fight or flight, freeze or fawn responses and our anxiety, and this pours into our actual trauma that we've been dealing with and that we've been carrying. So for some of us, it's mentally, though, where when I'm triggered, my mind has a hard time processing it. I feel, anxious. I feel racing thoughts. Everything's jumbled. I can't make sense of anything, and I don't know what to say. So this is, some of you are thinkers and you process life this way. But what I'm saying is that we have to let it process through all parts of the soul, and that is the only way to do it. So if I am making decisions that I know, because I've come to the place of understanding, are not healthy for me, I need to backtrack to my heart. What's going on with my heart? What's hurting me? What is making me feel whatever I'm feeling? Sadness, depression, anxiety. And furthermore, what am I thinking that is causing me to feel this way? Because it does begin with my thought life. Words make up sentences, which makes up what we receive as truth or what we receive as deception. So it begins with what we speak, and it begins with what we hear. This is our entire belief system. I believe this because I heard this and I grabbed hold of it as truth for myself. And therefore I speak. Okay? So there's so much to cover, but this is a whole other realm of this. What I speak is what I think and feel and believe. But if I'm thinking and believing deception, and I'm speaking it, I'm actually coming against myself. So I need to know, what do I believe? Do I believe God wants me to have a good life while I'm here? Yes, that is truth, actually. He does want that for us. But do I believe that? Because if I don't believe that, if I believe the contrary, which is I'm just doomed to have a hard and awful life because of what I've been through, and that's been my experience, then I never give myself a chance to change my own story to the truth. But it begins with, what do I speak over self? Do I believe that I can be healed from what I've been through? And if I don't, but I do, that's a whole other realm. Because sometimes you believe it, but you just don't know how to actualization. You don't know how to bring it into actualization and reality. And this is where learning strategies and tools comes in. I believe, for example, I'll share this. I believe God wants me to have a good physical health, but I have struggled with my physical health. So because of the struggle, it's hard to believe and see the beauty that I could have actually amazing health. So I have to come to this place where my mind changes, my mindset changes toward how I think about myself. If I want to start to believe I can be healthy, then I need to tell myself I can be healthy. And I need to practice what I need to practice to be healthy. Now, for all of us, that's different, okay? Whether it's mental health, emotional health, or physical health, we are all promised a beautiful life. The struggle is when we are knowing this is what I want and this is what I am trying to have, but I'm wrestling with so much and I'm trying to get there, okay? This is the inner healing journey. I shared before, and actually I shared it in my other She's Restored video. I just shared this actually, but about the restored self and the whole self, which exists already. So the version of you that you have in your heart that you know, this is me, this is who I am, already exists. Our journey here is learning how to go from my broken state to my restored state. And this is day by day. It is piece by piece, and it is as you are ready. That's important to remember. Now, we can have, goals to say, okay, this month I'm going to focus on this, and hopefully I can progress to where I want to go. But remember that it is as you are ready. And here's another thing that I want to share, because this is very important, and this is actually pertinent to me right now and where I'm at and what I'm going through. Show yourself grace as you are healing and recovering, because none of us will ever get it perfectly, and none of us will ever have it all figured out. But the hope is that I stay on the recovery journey, the inner healing journey, the journey to restoration. No matter how many times I fall or falter, or how many times, I just can't get it right, don't lose hope in your healing journey. As I said, this is how God works with me. He's always done this. I always typically, now sometimes I'm very well versed and I have everything written out because I've taken time to think things through, but a lot of the time it is free form like it is today. I keep looking at my notes because I keep thinking I'm going to find something, but no, it's just all right now. But a lot of times, actually I'll say most of the time, I teach from what I'm experiencing or what I'm going through or what I've recently just come out of. And the reason is because my life is a testimony to what I've been through and what I'm going through. And here's another encouragement, and I'm actually going to leave you with this because I believe this with my entire being. And I am blessed to be on the other side of so many things. Try not to cry. Your pain that you're dealing with is part of your purpose. It's part of your calling. So coming to this place of recognizing I went through this, and I'm ready to heal. And that empowers me now because of my experience, because of having the courage to get on the other side of it. Now I can help other people who are going through it or who will go through it. So I love y'all so much. This has been as healing for me as I hope it is for you. Whatever you're dealing with in your broken self, there is hope and there is healing and recovery. And I wish nothing more than that for you, because it is a promise that we are to live a beautiful, dreamy life here. I love y'all so much. I hope you're doing well. Please let me know how y'all are doing in the comments. And feel free to message me if you want to go on this inner healing journey. I would be so honored to be a part of that for you, and with you. And my availability is actually pretty flexible right now in the afternoons and evenings. So I am willing to work with your time frame, and I'm willing to work with your budget as well. So please feel free to reach out to me. This is something I know in my spirit very strongly that this fall is going to be very, very busy in terms of helping many. So if you feel impressed in your spirit or your heart that you want to reach out and start this journey or continue this journey, please do so. Okay, that's all I have for y'all. I love y'all so much, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.